So, into game 3. So 2-0 for T1 right now. This could just be where they end it, to be honest. They're playing very, very well. And it's almost like they know exactly what their comp is meant to do, and they've executed perfectly 2 games in a row. So Rise first ban, I mean, stopping at B1. I mean, they get rid of the Renekton again. I think just give Renekton and let him in. Camille ban 2. The thing is, these bans are basically towards top lane because it's like they never really want to play too much for top. They just want them to do whatever. They do ban away the LeBlanc, which is surprising considering it's 2-1, but they ban away the Lee Sin instantly. First pick, probably Cannon again, yeah. And then from the side of HLE, we'll probably see probably the Viego again, but I think they might take the Azir away from Faker in this game, considering they didn't ban it and it was so impactful. So I think they might just add to Azir now, but that can get responded with Aphelios and Thresh, so they might just look to save ADC until the second rotation as well and maybe get that Jinx, but I'm not too sure as well because, I mean, Hanwha Life have now seen how impactful Jinx is. They go with Aurelia, okay, so Chovy's Aurelia actually. This is going to be pretty interesting. But they will probably just take the Xin Zhao again. So maybe Xin Zhao. But I mean, you can't really play Azir into Aurelia. Aurelia will do a lot. It depends on the Azir. I mean, they might just pick it here because Faker's so good on it. But it's really not a good matchup in the mid lane for him. Okay, I mean, that's. I mean, they do just take it because he's so good on it, I guess. So he is just going to be looking for picks, but it's really not going to have as much impact because, you know, if you push a wave into Aurelia, she's just going to layer it and then instantly just Q it all and kill you. So we'll see. If they picked Rammus, that would have been hilarious. I mean, they really could go into top lane and they could have Sylas in mid. So both of these champions can go into either lane right now. So you have to pick a like, actually, you can't even change anything about T1's draft now. So they did kind of just get 2 solo lane advantages right now. So Hanwha Life looking very, very good with their draft right now. The Braum ban, we'll probably see Leona ban come out. The Varus probably too. So I think we'll get the Leona ban from the side of T1. Ashe, okay, so Ashe has been banned every time actually. It's just because bot lane need a very kind of safe ADC, so they need to ban either the Ezreal or the Varus for the side of T1, but HLE, they probably need to look to just maybe ban the Aphelios away, just so that Gumayusi doesn't get that champ again, although he will get Jinx, so he's going to get one of his preferred champs, so the Varus ban does come through. I'd look to just ban Ezreal if I was T1 now, just so that he can't do anything about Jinx snowballing inside the bot lane, because Ezreal into a mobile ADCs can actually be pretty oppressive, especially if he uses WE combo to just keep popping that over and over and regenerating his mana inside his waves. So I think Ezreal's a very good pick for the side of Hanwha Life right now, and they didn't ban it, they banned away the Thresh, so Ezreal's probably going to get locked in an R4 here now. I don't really know if Def plays it, but they actually take the Aphelios, but do they really want to take the Aphelios here when it's just going to get responded instantly with Jinx? Although they have banned Braum and Thresh, Leona is open, so we might see a Jinx Leona bot lane coming in for the side of T1, which is then going to restrict the pools. Probably just going to go with Tahm Kench R5 for the side of Hanwha Life, to be honest, due to the fact that it's the only real thing that's going to be able to protect Aphelios now. Now, will T1 give up a tier 1 support just to kind of take away that Tahm Kench? I hope not. We actually see the Ezreal Leona come in. Okay, so T1 have basically just said that they're going to be playing this game different to the last one. Instead of getting that Jinx in the bot lane due to the fact that Aurelia can get on top of her since she's in a mobile ADC, what they're going to do instead is take the Ezreal, have him safely farm up, and then have Leona just roam about the rest of the map. So it's a really nice second rotation adaptation, I'd say, from the side of T1, in order to counter the fact that 2 of these solo lanes are losing lanes. So what we'll probably see, so the Aurelia is actually going into the top lane. I don't know if Morgan can play it. I've seen Chovy play Aurelia before, but Silas as well is also a good matchup to get the Viego ahead, because, you know, if this Azir keeps pushing in this mid lane, then the Viego is just going to be able to come and use the Silas chains in order to chain his CC, and it's going to be a quite easy kill on the Azir, even with his massive reach. If he doesn't have his Q available, then he's not going to be able to get out, so... Very, very interesting draft. I do think Hanwha Life have the better draft here, though, purely because they've got them 2 solo lane advantages. Purely because the Kennen got B1'd, which I don't think Kennen should have got B1 there. I think they should have gone with the kind of powerful junglers like the Xin Zhao B1 there, and that would have actually saved this T1 draft significantly. So I think prioritizing that Kennen, not as good. Obviously, they're running this Kennen Azir combo. They don't really have somebody to protect, though, as much as they did before. So now this is going to change. That the Leona is, instead of going to help Gumayusi get ahead, Gumayusi is going to lane on his own, and the Leona is just going to run the map very, very hard, catch out mid and top, and try and kind of basically bail these matchups out. And if they manage to pull that off, then I think T1 are able to win the game. But the problem is, if it gets to late game, they're not going to have that Jinx scaling anymore like they did in the Jinx Aphelios matchup, where it's Ezreal does output quite a lot of damage later on into the game due to the fact that his cooldowns are so low later. But this isn't really going to matter too much, considering Aphelios still wins a team fight massively. So they've come down, put a ward here. Rakan is resetting. They're going to look to potentially cheese them in bot lane. Maybe. Now, another reason why this ward here that you can see in this bot lane is so important is because one of the biggest things about being a support is that you really want to take control of that middle brush. It's the one that's between the other two. Now, if you actually get control of that brush, then you actually end up in a much better position, because you can actually get onto their ADC and have aggression when their ADC is, you know, just trying to farm. So it means that you can, when you're playing things like Leona, he can take E first and then go. Now, I'm surprised he didn't go with... actually, the Braum was banned, never mind. I was going to say he could have potentially gone the Braum and then taken Spellbuck, but I just realised that it was banned away. So they do walk in here, and as you can see here, they already know that this is happening. Now, Canner actually gets quite a lot of damage off on Morgan early into this lane, which is pretty nice to see, but they are just going to use these brushes just to avoid each other. But I'd hope to see Leona go E and potentially try and do something a little earlier, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think she's probably just gone with Q, and she's not going to risk it. Especially considering, you know, Ezreal, because his Q and his autos are like separate, but he basically has 2 auto attacks. Oh, she does take E first and go in. Okay, really nice to see. Now, when it comes to Ezreal's autos, you have your auto and your Q, which your Q also procs on hit effects. So your Q is basically like a second auto attack. So when it comes to level 1, Ezreal is actually incredibly strong at level 1, and this is why I actually like Ezreal Alistar as a lane, because it makes up for Alistar's weak level 1, which then ends up meaning that, you know, Alistar can get through that early laning phase and then, you know, roam about the map, and Ezreal's still safe. So the Rakan tries to go in, but he does miss his W and gets chunked massively by the Ezreal and the Leona there. So, you know, this is kind of one of the things with this lane. If the Rakan doesn't manage to actually get on top of the Leona, then she will actually just win the trade always. So this is why Leona is probably going to just look to rush her boots, and, you know, then he's never going to be able to actually land that W. The champions that take boots like earlier are just very, very effective into Rakan, and it's one of the main ways that you actually counter him, because his W is so predictable that you can predict where he's going to jump to, and you can, you know, space into them and take an aggressive fight with their ADC, considering that CC doesn't go through. So this is really, really important to take note of when you are playing these champions. But so far, again, pretty slow early game. Again, Kennen is playing this lane very, very well in order to go aggressive on the Aurelia, but as I say that, he just completely griefs. She's going to land her E, and now Chovy's going to chase him down. very, very bad from the side of Kennen. I was just saying that he played well in lane, but he just completely disrespected the stacks out of Aurelia. Now, the TP did come in as well from Silas, which did get the kill, but overall, if he was just respecting that Aurelia's 4 stacks, then that wouldn't have happened. So, I mean, at this point the game is kind of even. Zinzao is on a pickaxe, and Viego's on a Sheen. Standard builds. In the side of bot lane, Ezreal actually stacked here. Now this isn't too bad because again, like I said, he has 2 autos, and also this allows him to use his Q way more, and it means that he doesn't have to be as aggressive. Now Canna is going to potentially just kill Morgan here. Oh my, like Morgan dropped so low to get those stacks that the Cannon just managed to go. Now, it's very, very sad. Like, why did Canna do this? Why did he go into that brush there? Like, he could have just frozen that wave and used the top brush. Right, so I mean, at this point in the game, 2-1, slightly behind in terms of gold, but doesn't matter as much now. It matters more than it did last game now, and Rakan actually managed to get a W onto the Azir, but it's just not enough. Nobody has any real follow-up there, so this ends up turning into nothing really. And like I previously said in the draft, Carrier is allowed to kind of rotate into this mid lane and even top lane however much he wants, purely because of the way that works. Now here we see a replay. This is the kill that Aurelia actually got him. He just completely griefed and didn't respect the fact that she was going to get 4 stacks, and another TP comes in from Faker, which is complete waste too. But you know, he runs straight back into mid lane, but it's just complete waste of TP. But then here, it doesn't matter how big the minion waves are, Aurelia can't really do anything with no mana, so she used all of her mana to push that in, which it's just very, very grief. So far, though, I mean, overall that was a very nice TP from Chovy, I'm not going to lie, but are they going to try and catch here? Maybe they try and catch Carrier. He does have to use his flash to get out, but I think he's... Oh, wait. They're continuing to fight. I mean, Ezreal's just kiting backwards. Carrier's using all of his HP, but he goes back in, and they actually managed to get the 1v2, and Ezreal gets another. This was extremely good, and this just shows how strong Leona actually is. Ezreal actually manages to get a double kill off that in a 2v3 bot lane. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Carrier is just insane. Now I'm trying to think of, well, I've been trying to kind of put positive points for HLE, but these games there hadn't really been any. I mean, they've kind of just sort of done nothing. Hey, how's it going, Victor? How was the stream, man? Thank you for the raid. The raid of 1. A raid is a raid, friend. But I mean, since I have no idea what. Oh yeah, I remember you saying. Yeah, like people, like you get followed all the time on Twitch. Just don't really care about it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for the lurk, appreciate it. So, I mean, Ezreal is huge now. He's picked up that Sheen. Now, the reason why Sheen is so important on Ezreal as well, and Sundra, is because your Q procs on hit effects. If you get a Sheen and you Q, you're going to get the additional damage from the Sheen for using an ability, but then it's going to proc on that Q. So it's incredibly powerful, and this is one of the reasons why you look to rush it on Ezreal. Even last season, I was making guides explaining how you should just rush Sheen on Ezreal, even if you're not going to build it into anything for quite a while, but still a lot of people don't understand how Ezreal's kit works because he's such a difficult champion. Now they do manage to catch and kill Aurelia here. really not having too good of a game, to be honest. This Aurelia really not doing too hot. Especially considering this is a good matchup for Aurelia as well, as we saw in that first kill. So here we see the 2v3 in the bot lane. So Keria looking to tank as much damage as possible and just stay in the way so Ezreal can keep DPSing. And then Viego drops way too low, so Ezreal manages to jump in and kill. Now, Leona literally gives everything in order to allow Ezreal to get this kill on the Aphelios, and it really did work. Unfortunately, they can't catch Rakan because of his W, but overall, 2 kills for Ezreal in a 2v3 is amazing. Now, we can see the Herald fight here. Cannon just going absolutely nuts in this top side, gets his ult and then manages to proc it onto, doesn't actually manage to get the CC onto Morgan actually, but Faker comes in, uses the ultimate to end up getting the kill, and 1-0 for T1, but I think they also got the Herald there. 1-0 and the Herald for the side of T1. It's really not looking too good for Hanwha Life in this game. They're really outclassed here. And the thing is, Chovy is playing amazing, but the rest of his team just aren't enough. It's just not enough. He can't really do anything. Again, if Hanwha Life manages to stall this game out for another 20 minutes, they will be in a very good position. But will they be able to do that? We shall see. Okay, Kennen just runs her down again with that ultimate. Now, another thing here is, as we can see, Kennen with the, actually a pretty smart build. Now, Aurelia didn't go Vampiric Scepter. She's rushing her Sundra. Really good dive by the Xin Zhao there, though. Wanna really showing that he's pretty damn good on this champion, and Viego just jumps in and ints. He was looking for that reset so that he could kill them all, but he's just really not strong enough. This Ezreal is pumping out so much damage right now. Fade, Sheen, and Tia, he is very, very big at this stage of the game compared to just a Noonquiver and a Crit Cloak. Now, the reason why this is really bad for Aphelios and why he's really, really far behind is because in that situation, he had to go Crit Cloak because he couldn't afford pickaxe. Okay, so Chovy actually manages to catch Canna, uses the Azir ult in order to just run him down. That's a huge shutdown over to Chovy. Now, one of the reasons champions like Sylas are just so good is because you can just run around taking fights, and he's such a good duelist that you don't even have to be ahead to win those fights. As you can see here, this Kennen was 3 for 1 with 90 CS. Chovy was only 1-0. He just kind of ran him down, just completely melted him. So we did see that the Kennen managed to get the Aurelia though. He did use his ultimate on the Aurelia, so it might have actually been different if he managed to use it on Chovy. But they are looking to rotate up here. Keria is here with Gumayusi. They're probably not going to look to go for anything crazy here, but Ezreal just wants to pick up this farm right now. Keria is walking onto the Rakan to potentially try and get control back of their kind of jungle for Vision, but they know that he's there now, so they can't really do that much. Kennen is just allowed to free farm in the bot lane right now. Now, one of the reasons why this is pretty good as well is because the Aphelios and the Rakan have to kind of rotate and swap into this top lane now, just so that they can actually potentially continue this laning phase due to the fact that they lost their tower. So the fact that T1 rotated to that earlier is a really, really telling sign. Again here, this was just a 1v1. Kennen completely melted her. Barely even took any HP either, and then we had this fight inside the bot lane where Aphelios did get caught. It doesn't matter about the knockup because there's just so much damage. Xin Zhao uses his flash to get on top and do a massive amount of damage, especially with his ultimate. Viego tries to come in, just uses his ult straight up. It's just an absolute nightmare for this Viego, to be honest. Like, there's not really much you can do in that situation. So again, Canada doesn't have his ultimate here. Anchovy did invest his flash and manages to land the chains. He does have a Zia ult too, so he just has a massive amount of CC here and you just run him down. So just really, really nice play from Chovy. Honestly, it's really, really sad though, because the rest of his team are just completely outclassed. Like, completely outclassed. The fact that he's made it this far is surprising. This is a very, very sad team to watch. Like, Hanwha Life invested all of their income into Chovy, And just, it looks like they didn't have enough money to pay the rest of the players, because the rest of the players are just really bad, like, honestly. So it's very unfortunate to see Chovy stuck on this team. Overall, though, I mean, the Ezreal is very big, and I mean, this is the third game for T1. I do still think Hammer Life have the ability to come back due to the fact that they do have Aurelia. Silas is pretty damn strong. He does have a big advantage over the Azir in mid too, and also Faker has picked up an Oblivion Orb. What the fuck is this? Like, why? Kennen literally has one already. It makes no sense. Faker's builds are terrible. Okay, so they do actually manage to get an instant pick on the Xin Zhao though, and then they do manage to just follow, like... Okay, so T1's just completely griefed. Aphelios does manage to get his chakrams from quite far away, but are they going to be able to do enough damage to actually turn this fight? I don't think so. These wolves also mean that it's very hard for Ezreal to even fight in this entrance, so this team fight all around, like the position that the team fight was taken in was just terrible, and it showed. Now, Gamayusi walking up way too far. Does manage to turn it and actually do a lot of damage though. He is gonna die though, like it just, like, I have no idea. Okay, so Chovy actually just runs down Carrier, like he's so huge right now. Xin Zhao's respawned by the time this team fight is finished, which just goes to show how kind of chaotic this game has been. But I mean, that's a huge gold swing though. Back to the side of Hanwha. I mean, they actually get a massive amount of gold, and that actually brings them back into the game, even though they did lose that first tower in bot lane. So this is a potential scary situation for T1 now, considering they don't have a massive amount of consistent AD damage. I mean, Ezreal is huge, but he's going to really struggle to actually get damage off in this game when he's got Aurelia, Viego, and Silas jumping on him, and a Rakan as well. So I don't know why Xin Zhao just decided to walk through here for no reason whatsoever when there was no vision either, but a nice shuffle from Faker actually managed to keep them in this fight and stop them just instantly dying. Unfortunately, Ezreal does miss his ultimate though, and he uses ultimate before his W too, which is also very risky because your W is a massive kind of tool that you can use with your ultimate in order to refund you some mana back and do a lot. But we see a POV fight with Kana and Morgan in bot lane. Morgan does actually get the jump, but again, Kana's just going to instantly stun. It doesn't really matter though. She's going to kill him here. She's got full stacks. Like, there's no way she didn't kill him here. And this is the thing now with Kennen, is he can't really play in this side lane against the Aurelia, and this is why the Aurelia is such a good pick into the Kennen. It can actually do a lot in the laning phase if Kennen messes up, but also it can't really fight in the side lane. Now, Kennen is stronger in a team fight, but I mean, Aurelia, if she gets ahead enough, she'll literally 1v5 the fight. So as we can see there, Chovy just literally jumps on Carrier. Like, I don't know why Carrier was walking up with that little HP, but it was an int. It was a complete int. Like, I don't even. So I mean, the gold difference has evened out massively, as we could see there. T1 did have nearly 3.5k gold lead, but they've just thrown it away, and it's partly because of Warner just randomly walking into bushes as well. Like, okay, I got scared for a second there. I just saw a Leona ult in their base, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? But it was just Silas using it so that he could get another ult, or it was just about to run out. So at this point, Hammer Life just want to get control of the enemy jungle in topside so that they can potentially look to start harassing Baron. If Aphelios gets his red white guns or red blue, red white or white blue, he's literally just going to be able to basically 1v9 hard carry these fights, even though he's quite behind. He's got his Gale Force and his Serrated Dirk, which Serrated Dirk is a massive power spike for any component. It's one of the biggest component spikes, I'd probably say, other than Iron Spike Whip, is it Wisp or Whip? Iron Spike Whip, should I say? So like those two items are huge power spikes. It's quite funny because you see like, oh, Kerry is just gonna try and face check, but he does have to use his flash just to get out of there, which he just shouldn't have been face checking. I think T1 are getting very, very overconfident that Silas does actually manage to get Leona onto Carrier. Ooh, unfortunately he missed the chains, but they still chunked him out to half HP. Now, they've got complete control of vision around this top side of the map, so as long as they just keep this held now, they can potentially look to force T1 to come to the Baron. Carrier does get a good pick, and Rakan does also shut down the Kennon's advancement, and Carrier just dies in the back, and now it's just an easy team fight win for Hamlet Life. So T1 really griefing, like they were so split in that team fight, and HLE just took advantage, and now they're going to take away this blue as well, which blue on Chovy when he's this big is going to be kind of nuts. I swear, Chovy just doesn't have games where he doesn't have 10 CS a minute, I swear to God. Like every single game. Again, though, this Aurelia is going to be such a big problem. Even though she's got 3 deaths, nobody can sideline against her. I think the only option that they have is potentially for Azir to, but even then, that's kind of rough because he's going to have to constantly have his WQE combo just to escape from her. So you can see this fight again. Canna does get quite a good pick onto Morgan, but he just instantly gets blown up. His team and nowhere near him to follow up, and Kennen gets instantly one-shot too. It's just so split. Carrier just completely into this fight. He just saw the opportunity and just went. It just completely griefed and lost in that team fight, to be honest. It's just terrible. So they have used this Herald in the mid lane just so that they can get pressure so that they can go and get this dragon. Again, it's an Infernal Soul, so both teams want this dragon. And they just instantly killed the Herald. I thought, I don't know what this Ezreal was. Like, what on earth was that about? Like, complete random. Like, it literally didn't achieve anything there. It wouldn't have achieved anything. I mean, maybe he was trying to stop a recall, but I don't know, man. So, I mean, they just get Prio over the Dragon now, and this kind of one of the things with this comp now. Since T1 didn't get anywhere near ahead enough, I mean, the only person that's really ahead this game now is the Ezreal. I mean, Kennen has kills, but he's still not going to be able to do anything against Aurelia in the side lane. They use Ezreal ult to try and steal it, but it's just way too soon. And again, we see the second item spike. So Aurelia is going for a Wit's End now too, which is going to mean that none of the solo laners can actually match her whatsoever. So she's going to be invincible in this game. Now the problem is they'd already chose Kennen, and it's like you can't really rotate Kennen into another lane. So as soon as the Aurelia got locked there, it was just doomed. And this is why you shouldn't B1 a solo lane. Like, it's just so bad, especially when jungle doesn't really have to interact as much. And there's also tier 1 picks that you can take that aren't top lane. Like at this point, the drafting, from what I remember in pro play, was it was just every game. It was just Viego, Zhao, always traded on B1. And then when it came to Viego just being way too broken, then that's when we saw things like the Trundle come in the jungle just because it's such a big counter to Viego. So I just don't like it. I think if you're going to B1 a top, you B1 a tank. Because it's like no matter who they go against, they're going to just be able to build resistances. Like, it's like when people pick like Renekton. And it's like, just pick a tank. Just pick a tank. Or an enchanter. Something like Karma just ruins Renekton, but if you can position anyway. Okay. So Faker does actually manage to get that reset off. But, I mean, it's going to be a very, very scary experience for T1 walking into this Baron area when they don't have any vision whatsoever. This area is completely dark right now. I really don't think the Aphelios should back there. Yeah, he did actually cancel it. It's like they just need to keep this pressure. They need to wait for Keria to do what he always does and ints and kind of walks into a brush. And then as soon as he walks into that brush, then all they need to do is, you know, just pick him. Kind of trying to 1v1 Morgan here, which, you know, maybe. I mean, okay. I mean, this was actually really good from Kennen. Now, the reason he won that is because he saved his E so that he could actually dodge her stun. And as soon as the stun didn't go through, he really can't do as much. Now, on top of that, the amount of additional damage that he managed to get in first was really huge. And also, he does have a Void Staff as well, which is giving him a massive amount of armor percentage penetration. And also, it's giving him 5 magic pen as well. So overall, he has a ridiculous amount of pen right now. Okay. So Chovy just catches him though. It was just very, very greedy to try and recall there. And I feel like this has happened a lot this game. Kana has got an advantage in the 1v1 and then Chovy's just come to take that advantage back. So we do actually see multiple TPs coming in from here. Morgan is on the top on the Azir, but the Kennen does manage to CC everybody. It doesn't really matter though, because Ezreal just gets instantly killed, and this is one of the things for this comp. You just can't get away as an ADC. Even if you're playing something like Ezreal, you just can't really do much when there's an Aurelia, a Sylas, and a Rakan jumping on you. So to be honest, it's very hard for any ADC to function in this kind of situation, but if you go with an ADC that can scale, like again, if they would have gone the Jinx here instead, then he's in a much better position, because even though he's also a mobile, way more mobile than Ezreal, he has a lot of range, and you know, if you play back and just wait for your team to get you that one kill, then you can still take over the team fight, whereas you don't really get that with Ezreal. He did actually use his R to try and stop her using E, but it wasn't quite enough. She just missed it anyway though. Again, this reset is complete grief. It just makes no sense, like, why you'd try and recall there. And as you can see here, Gumayusi did get caught and then gets completely rooted up by the Aphelios. And then obviously he gets CC after CC, and there's not that much he can do. Wanna, you know, falls as well. Faker just gets completely zoned out the fight, so SKT, just their fights are just too split. It's just losing them this game entirely. That it's just always so split. It's crazy. So this is one of the few games where I mean to be honest though, like the Viego is just picking up kills. Oh my god, he did it. Chovy upgraded into Medjai's. Oh my god. I can't believe it. He is now my favourite mid laner. Fuck off, Faker. Relationship with Faker is over. I don't like him anymore. Like, I mean, look, he's got Oblivion Orb when Kennen already has Morellos. What's that doing for him? But Chovy actually understands the interaction with a Medjai's. Now, the reason why upgrading to Medjai's is so good is because Everfrost gives flat AP. So if you upgrade to Medjai's, you get more AP out of your Everfrost because it's a legendary item, and if you've already got a Dark Seal, it's like 1200 gold. Like it's really, really easy to get, and you know that extra mythic spike, especially when you're snowballing like this, is super important. Now the thing is, Medjai's is also gold efficient as of 9 stacks, so if you ever get to 9 stacks on a Dark Seal and you do not upgrade to a Medjai's, you're completely griefing. Because it's like, yes, okay, you might lose your stacks on the Medjai's, but why are you putting yourself in a position when you can lose Medjai's stacks? Like, if you can gain that many, especially at a pro level, then you're going to keep snowballing that game. Faker does get caught, but he does manage to get a WE off instantly. They're just looking to siege with this Baron right now. We did get a Shurelia's come in from the Rakan, but they can't look to just go in on them. Aphelios does get a nice ult, but it just doesn't do enough damage. He's more of a supportive ADC in this game, to be honest. If he gets Graviton, gets an ult, and then Qs on the Ezreal, then that's going to allow the rest of his team to actually snowball. And this kind of the reason why it's super difficult to play any champion into Aphelios is because even if he doesn't hard win the lane, he will hard win team fights in mid game due to his ult. And then when it comes to later on into the game, the amount of damage he'll output is insane, especially on objectives. So one of the reasons why Aphelios is nuts, because he's a lane bully that does extremely well in late game and provides a massive amount of utility for his team throughout the entire game also. So we do see a stopwatch come out from him as well, though. Ezreal has just finished his Muramana, though, so that could be a really, really big spike. Now, Faker and Kennen both have pen in their items, and they're doing a ridiculous amount right now. But the thing is, we do see multiple MR items come out. We have both of these boots here. We have both of these wits ends. So it's actually incredibly difficult to get damage to actually stick on them. But he does go to ult the ADC, but he has his ultimate available. And, you know, Chovy's just going to go nuts in this fight now. Kennen gets a really, really good ult, but it's just really not enough. Hanwha are just way too far ahead. Like, there's just not really that much SKT can do at this point of the game, considering in the previous game, the reason why the draft worked in the previous game is having that Jinx in place of the Ezreal allows you to have a AD carry threat in this late game. But the problem is, now they swapped it out to Ezreal, there's no longer a massive threat in terms of AD damage, or nowhere near as much as the Jinx anyway, so they can invest into these MR items and just win the team fight super hard, since the Kennen and the Azir are both doing Magic Pen right now. I think in this game they should have gone more so towards things like Liandry's, to be honest. Even though, you know, it's not going to give them that penetration spike, it's going to allow them to at least deal with those tankier foes. Now, obviously, the Void Staff allows them to do a lot still, but here, it's like Def knew it was coming. And the instant TPs that just came in. 2 TPs instantly to jump on him. Even though he died, it really didn't matter that much. And yeah, Chovy just uses the Xin Zhao ultimate to space away from everybody, and then just Zhonya's the Kennen ult away, and then he just goes kind of crazy. Double kill for the Viego. Now, the thing is, I don't think the Viego has played incredibly well this game, but I do think Chovy has just set up everything for him, and this does look like a much more dominant game. So it's one of these things. If they look terrible in the early game, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Hanwha Live look awful in the early game, but when it comes to these kind of team fights, Chovy can just completely take over and kind of tell them exactly what they need to do and what their role is in those team fights. Now, they do have Infernal Soul as well, so there's very, very little opportunity that they're gonna have to do anything. Xin Zhao does get caught. Viego goes way too soon, though. He hasn't got his team to follow him up yet, and he has to use his stopwatch there. Leona's ult does come down from the Sylas, but it doesn't really catch anything. But it now allows him to get an ult from either, you know, Azir or Kennen now. Since that was... Oh, okay, so nice engage from Rakan and instantly blown up by Chovy. Yeah, this game's just over. Like, there's nothing SK2 can do anymore. Like, they got draft gapped so hard, it's unreal. Like their first 3 picks, like, were just too bad. Like taking Kennen B1, they just instantly set themselves up to lose. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter if SKT gets ahead in this game. Like, the draft is just way too big. Even here, like, they just don't have to worry because there's no AD damage coming through that's enough. And, you know, Ezreal goes into Frozen Heart in that last item as well, but it's really not going to help him against those champions. So I mean, that was game 3. I mean, complete kind of whitewash for the side of Hanwha Life. Just terrible drafting from SKT led to this, so to be honest. So let's go into game 4.